we're not going that far because the Fantastic Four were not giving in this. I will
It's
say
not their
that
event. It's Doom's event.
clearly because they was getting squashed. Every scene of them was like them getting
Let's
beat
not do too
up.
much.
They were
Let's
getting
not
beat
do too
up, and
much
they were
here.
talking about how they were too tired. Like, what's going? Go back to the
Let's not do
lab.
too much here.
What are y'all here
Let's not
for?
do too much here.
What are you
Okay.
here for?
To solve the problems. Who else is gonna do it? When Doom is
Everybody,
on a rampage, who do y'all call?
you know, let me just say, Doctor
Okay.
Doom is that guy.
All right. Welcome everybody to another episode of another relaunch. You know what? This week I want to be Cosmic Boy, the magnetic hero from the Legion of Superheroes. Give it up for my king.
Oh, I'll be a Legion person too.
Ooh.
Wow, this is just making me.
I always wondered which were those. I always wondered which of those you like kind of gravitated towards. I don't know. Saturn Girl? No.
I do like Saturn Girl. She's the telepath, right? The little blonde
Mm-hmm.
telepath. I like her. I liked Triplet. So I used to watch that Legion of Superheroes cartoon.
Classic
The one,
show.
yeah, like I
I
used
had
to
to
watch that.
rewatch that.
I thought that was pretty good. I like Triplicate Girl on that. When they like kill one of them and she had to become Duo Damsel, that was hot.
That's actually like they took every story from like the comics with them. That's like their first thing.
Oh,
They fought.
really?
She died and her duplicate died and she became Dual Damsel.
Oh, poor
It was like a
her.
sad moment. They used to like kill them kids.
Look, the Trial by Fire stories are the ones that hit. When you think about an Avengers arena, when you think about new X-Men and the bus explosion, the champions need to go through theirs.
It's coming probably.
I don't,
It's not
I don't
too
know.
long before they do it.
People get really mad at those kind of stories nowadays,
Yeah.
but they're good.
Everybody
I'm
want
sorry.
everybody always want their characters to hug and like be together and all that stuff, but like
Shoot her in the
action.
foot.
You know?
Do something. So yeah, I'll be Duo Damsel because that
Okay.
resonates with me.
Okay. All right, I like that. How are you doing?
I'm all right. I feel like I'm 15. I was diagnosed with strep throat earlier this week.
Oh, so who you been
So,
kissing?
and that's the thing, nobody. It was like crazy. I went to the urgent care to make sure I didn't have the vid, and they gave me my little piece. I got 2 PCR tests just to be sure. They both came back negative. And they were looking at me, and the girl was like, "You got strep throat?" And I was like, "I mean, I would personally rather have strep throat than COVID because like COVID is gonna knock you on your ass. You can still be like semi-functional with strep throat." But they gave me my antibiotics. I'm on like day 5 of 7, so I'm coming off of it. I'm feeling good. I'm still not like going around people. I haven't been outside. I didn't have to go to work, so that was very nice. I like thought about it one day, and my boss was like, "Absolutely not! Don't you come in here and get me sick," because he was going on vacation. So that was great. But other than that, I'm good. How are you?
Okay, nice. I'm glad you're feeling better and you don't have COVID. That's fantastic.
Okay.
You know, I've been all right. I've been busy like all during the week with work and all that kind of stuff, but a bitch did get a PS5. So
Congratulations.
yes.
I know
Yes,
that's
yes,
like the
yes.
hard thing that everyone's trying to. I'm personally not a PlayStation girl. I'm Xbox.
Right.
So congratulations to you for that because
Yeah,
I know
it was hard. It was hard. I had notifications set up on different stuff. Like it took a while.
It's crazy. Has it always been this hard to buy a game system? I feel like it
I
didn't
don't
used
think
to.
so. No. I think I know with the PlayStation 5 there was like a shortage with this chip and that caused some like delays and then there was like other production delays. We are still, pandemic.
That is true. That is true. I don't know. I kind of miss the good old days where you had to go to GameStop and wait there till like midnight, and they opened the door.
Remember GameStop?
Oh my gosh, GameStop was awful. The way they used to like when you tried to trade in a game and they'd be like it's $5, even though they know you paid 60 for it. It was like crazy. But like
It's
the
like, come
community.
on! I just beat this game like 2 months ago.
But the community aspect of it was really nice. I'll never forget when Mortal Kombat 9 came out. The GameStop that was by like my old comic book shop here. I went and they were just having like a huge competition. and it was like so fun. And like the Chipotle that was next to it, they actually stayed open late to like
That's
feed the
nice.
people. It was like a really good time, you know. That, so secretly, I want to open my own comic book store, and it would be like a comic book store cafe type of situation. And like that's one of the things we would do. We have like game nights, we would have like parties and like movie nights and stuff like that, and just like get food and build a little community, because it's always a good time. You got to enjoy your fellow nerds sometimes.
Come on, another relaunch cafe. Yes. Come on in, get your comic books, a
Stay
smoothie.
for a little bit. I know, healthy smoothies too, because I'm gonna push the fitness on the girls a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I'm
Green
sorry.
smoothies and like some music
It's my
playing.
life. The music, let me tell you, the music, baby. We was gonna be a good time up in there.
Get the ball rolling on that. I like that. Okay. This week is a pretty short week. Just one book, and that is Daredevil: Woman Without Fear, written by Chip Zdarsky and art by Rafael de la Torre and Federico Bling on colors. And this was a really good issue for Elektra. Again, it was actually kind of like a Devil's Reign tie-in, but also a flashback, fill in the blank kind of stuff for Elektra. If you remember in Devil's Reign, she went to speak with Kingpin, and he had said, like, I've been collecting all these files and all these people. I have your file, but someone bought it, and I sold it to them, and they said you need to go and meet them where you tried to recruit the original Daredevil into the Hand. So where you tried to recruit Matt into the Hand. And Elektra gets freaked out, and she's like, he must know stuff about me, like he knows too much. So she leaves, and we now see what happens on the other side of that. She goes and meets with Matt, and after she's like, I'm a little bit too in over my head. Like, I normally would go straight for the heart and attack stuff, but like I might be too in over my head. And what do? Start fucking, because
that's what they're gonna do. That's what they're gonna do. It's just hot. It's just hot. Daredevil and Elektra are hot. I'm sorry. It's just like I always give them that. They are hot.
They are hot. So we see that she's like leaving his place, and she's going by Columbia University where they went to school, and she's having like these kind of flashbacks of when she used to train with Stick, and how when she was back at Columbia, there was this guy, I forget his name, Goldie, and he was like a friend from the past, and they go and have coffee and to kind of catch up, and she's like, I feel like after my dad died and I became like, she didn't say assassin out loud, but we know that she went to go become an assassin. She's like, after my dad died, I feel like the world like got so big, I had so many other options, but like actually everything kind of closed in on me, and I felt like I was in a cage. But she was like, lately I feel like I traded one cage for another one. And obviously she's talking about, having not to kill and everything, and trying to be more of a hero with Daredevil. And the guys were like, I didn't know you that well like that, and you left school after your dad died, but the Elektra I know was like someone who was, if she was in a cage, I would be worried about that cage. And she's like, yeah, we'll see. She sees this woman that had been watching her. We find out that it is one of her old trainers who kind of got her into the Hand. So back when Elektra, I know the story. She was, her dad died. She left and went in to go try to stay with Stick. He said she was too angry, so she left and got recruited by the Hand. Now we see the woman who recruited her into the Hand. This woman.
Is this the first time we've ever seen the woman?
Well, when I saw her get recruited into the Hand, there were like a group of people, and I think this is the same woman. She just looks a little different. She just may look like a little more youthful, because this was like an older book back then. I do remember that there were like a few people in the room around her when she got recruited into the Hand. So I think Zdarsky just wants to focus on this one girl because she's pretty badass, and she's talking about how, like, she teaches her how to be silent, and how you shouldn't be so loud. The most important thing while you're fighting is silence. And she later on is kind of confronted by her. She meets up with her at the place where she did try to recruit Matt into the Hand. she drives off and she gets into this accident, car tumbles, and she's like, "No, hold on." Like she looks at the wheel. She's like, "Now this looks like I could probably through this. The way that it was silent, like nobody was around." And then she's starting to run. And she's like, "Wait a minute, there's like a trap set up here." And who was after her? It was Craven.
Yeah.
I don't know what bone he has to pick with her, but he shows
like a fish.
He's like, "My name is Craven Little Hunter, Little Assassin, and I hunt." So he is here to hunt. I don't know who sent him after her, unless he's a part of the Thunderbolts now, because of everything happening in Devil's Reign. You know, since Kingpin like has all the villains and stuff that were.
Whatever happened to his family?
He had a daughter. I think something magical happened that made them forget her.
Oh, so because I remember during what was it? Spiders Hunt for Spiders, whatever that story arc was called in Spider-Man, where like they were killing all the Spider characters. So like Maddie Franklin got it. They came after Julia Carpenter. They were coming after Spider-Man. They went after Maddie. Was that Spider-Verse?
Yeah, with Corlon, I think that was his name. The guy who eats all the spider people.
I think this was a different. I think this was one like right before. I do remember Spider-Verse, but I think this is one like right before, because it was like specifically Kraven and his family. His like family was hunting the spiders because they were like trying to resurrect Kraven or something like that. And it was his wife, his daughter, and I only remember it because the daughter ended up going into All New Inhumans, popping up over there. She like turned out to be an Inhuman, but that was the last time I saw her. You know what I mean? It was the last time you saw the Inhumans also. But I always thought she was an interesting character. I just wondered if they still existed.
I don't know. They may have been wiped. I don't remember if they kept. I know he had a daughter.
Mm-hmm.
And I do remember that they were like his family or something was hunting them. But I do think that there was that story where all the spiders were getting hunted. But that was Spider-Verse.
That was hot.
Yeah. It was hot. Spider-Verse was, man, that was actually really good because it was pretty violent.
It was.
But yeah, this issue I really enjoyed. I would actually give it a 4 out of 5. It was some great background stuff on Elektra. This is what I was expecting from Elektra.
In
Red
Daredevil. Oh, in Red One. Okay. So yeah. I guess, as an Elektra fan, do you want her to continue on being Daredevil?
No, I do not. Absolutely not.
Okay, well, I guess if she goes, like, whenever she gives up the Daredevil moniker, she stops doing this hero thing, do you think you would want her to kind of continue on the hero path, or does she just go back to being Elektra of the Hand, killing people, doing whatever needs to do? Like, what's the dream for her?
And for everyone listening out there, you can definitely go back and listen to, I think it was the last episode for my relaunch with Elektra. I do want her to become more lethal again. Not necessarily like, maybe she could take over the Hand, but I do want her to just go back to being more herself. She's obviously conflicted about a lot of this stuff, and I do appreciate that Zdarsky has kind of kept that with her. Too often with stories or with characters like an Elektra, they try to redeem them and just like sanctify them and make them good or something like that. And Zdarsky has left it very, very clear that she is still like, I will kill you. She's just trying a different way because that's just a part of their story. She's trying a different way, and she says this in this book because she needs Matt to help her take down the Hand. Ultimately, it looks like, I don't know if she's going to get a solo out of this or something, but it looks like there's some story building with her, and she's trying to take down the Hand in this. So, like, I'll be fine if she goes there and takes over that, and she becomes like a Queen Pen assassin. And then, like I said, I want her versus
even if she, that would be hot. Even if she does all of that, would you still like want her to get a super suit, get a superhero code name, or does she just run around as Elektra?
Elektra's fine. Yeah, know that it's too late for her to get some kind of name. Now she could obviously get an updated costume
Mm-hmm. I'm
We don't
sorry, I
need
know you
her
don't
in
like
the
you don't like the
the
black one. I
coochie
thought the
suit.
black one was hot.
Oh well, yeah. The black one was not hot with that
It was
scarf.
hot. I'm sorry. It was just so simple and sleek in the red scarf, so you know it was
Mm.
her. She had the ponytail going. I don't know.
I loved the ponytail. Did not like the scarf look. That was not that girl. But I would love for her to get a nice redesign for her, something like more ninja armored,
Mm-hmm. Would you still want
but
it to be
still like
red?
sexy for her. I mean, those are her colors now, red and black.
I don't know. How do you feel about that? Like characters and colors, and like, do you feel like once a character kind of has that color scheme ingrained into them that they should never move past it, or do you not mind when they switch it up a little bit? Because and this is mainly because I'm talking about Betsy. You know, pink has always been her color for like
Hmm.
however long she's been around, pink and purple. But then when she became Captain Britain, it was the Union Jack colors. But then Knights of X came around, and it looks like the colors might be changing to a black, gold, and red of Avalon. And so it was just interesting to me because I don't mind. I was like, oh, I like seeing her in different colors, but I know there are a lot of Betsy fans who'd be like, I still want to see her in something pink. But it's like her powers
Hmm.
are pink.
I think I do think certain characters end up being associated with like particular color schemes just because like they just end up like, I don't know, it just hits for them. Like
Mm.
Betsy and pink just like works. So so like
Just because her hair is
it hits
purple,
for her.
though.
Right. So and I think also with characters like Betsy, her hair is purple, so it's harder to put her in other colors because that'll clash. Um, so I do think sometimes certain colors do like stick with characters. It would be jarring to see Electron like, I don't know, a yellow or a pink.
I don't think I would be opposed to y'all. I think I'd like to see how that looks.
Hmm. I don't know. I don't know.
I mean, and I only say that because like I think of like a Daredevil. Like he had like there's been someone who like wore a yellow version of his costume at once. I think even when he wears black, like I like seeing him in his little black costumes. I think those are different. Of course, I don't think I'd want to see him in like a green because that
Mm.
feels like weird. But maybe like I think about how Kelly Thompson has the stuff going on with Carol. She's put her in a bunch of different costumes like every now and again, like to switch up her colors and things like that. I wouldn't mind something like that just to see how it feels or how it looks on certain people.
Yeah, while still returning to like whatever is the default look. I do think
Yeah.
most characters have a default look and color, but then like you could probably pop up in something else. Sometimes those stick.
Sometimes.
Sometimes Electra's got this one that's like this like, I don't know, Cybertron kind of looking like what is it with the zoom cycles, the light cycles? I
Oh,
can't think of the
Tron?
name of it. Tron, yeah.
Yeah.
She's got this like Tron looking costume that's kind of cool, but we'll have to add that to the list of rereads or something because in the book, the writer even says like, oh, all dudes love ninjas and like
That's
Tron.
true.
So I
It's
felt
not.
kind of called out, but it's not.
I
I
mean,
can't
it
help it.
is. It is. Did they ever say what type of martial arts Electra knows, or is it just kind of one of those broad ninjutsu type of things?
She's like trained under all the different types, you know, the judo, the taekwondo, and all that stuff, and then the specialized hand stuff. Even in this issue, we see who gave her the sai first. It was
Hmm.
Akka, who gave her the sai, and she was the person who told her to kill, and she was like, "Oh, I can't kill this person because they didn't do anything." And
Mm-hmm.
Akka's like, "Yes, you can kill them. Their hand, and they're not alive because they've already
Mm-hmm.
given their lives to the hand. Like they're just
The
like soulless
beast.
things. So you can."
I do love the hand. I gotta
Mhm.
tell you, that's like a
Me
hot new
too. It's
creation.
hot.
They really snapped with that, and I like.
Hmm.
It's one of my favorite things about Daredevil. And you know, even when Betsy was with it, I always used to kind of really want to see her get her own personal hand stories, which she's had a couple of them. I'm over them now. But the hand
Hmm.
itself is just I love when they pop up. It's always a good time.
Right? They're fun. They're like fun, and I love when they give the hero somebody to fight.
Okay? Because they will give you someone to fight. And they
Yes.
will keep coming.
Um, So yeah, I guess that's the only issue of the week this week, short week. So send us recommendations, you guys. If you guys are reading
Yeah.
anything else there, let us know what you
Next
guys are
week is
reading.
gonna be stacked.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, my girl is starting to make her cameos next week. Polaris is going to be in the Death of Doctor Strange cameo.
She-Hulk comes out next week. Add
Oh,
it to your pull list, guys. It's
okay.
coming.
Yes.
It's only 5 issues.
Now they played in your face for that.
Played in my face. I just discovered. I was like reading some interview, and I was like, oh, I just realized I hadn't subscribed on Comixology, so I went to Comixology to do it, and I went to get number 1 and said 1 of 5.
That's rude.
Like, it's ridiculous.
She deserves a real ongoing for real. What's going on?
You know, she's not in the MCU yet. We got to
okay.
Then she'll be back.
You see how they do. I mean, look how they did with that. Didn't they do that with Shang-Chi? They gave him a mini, and then the movie came out, and then the ongoing came out.
Exactly. Like, this is the teaser, just to get, like, kind of refamiliarize people with her, let you know who she is, what she's about, see her new boyfriend, Jack of Hearts, and then the show will come.
Wow.
You know, and it's always crazy to me when, like, I would talk about Jack of Hearts. People be like, oh, you like Jack of Hearts? He's never coming back. Look at him now. I back winners.
I mean, we all know I did my favorite one, that X-Men vote. So let's take a break, and then we'll come right back.
Right. All right. Hello, everyone. We are back from our little break. And today's panel is going to be something that's been just bustling across the net for the last week or so. And it is the X-Men vote that was launched. You know, so as many of us know here last year, was it last year? It was last year, yeah?
Yes, it was.
That we had the first annual Hellfire Gala for the X-Men, and there was a reveal of a brand new X-Men team. And the Marvel company decided to bring the fans in, and they let us do a vote to vote for who one of the members was going to be, and our very own Miss Polaris, Lorna Dane, won. She was like way ahead of the competition. It was kind of a blowout.
Period.
Shout out to the fans for that. And so, you know, we have another Hellfire Gala coming up this summer, and they have done this again. And so we had a small little list of contestants. And I will say, I think the contestants this year were much better than the ones from last year. So shout out to Marvel from that. I feel like last year was very obvious that Lorna was going to win. I don't think like anybody else really stood a chance, obviously. I feel like this year was a little bit more varied, and it was a little bit like easier to choose. So really quick, let's just go over who the contestants were. They were Armor, Avalanche, Bling, Firestar, Gentle, Gorgon, MIcromax, Penance, Siren, and Surge. Now, me personally, I think this is an amazing list of candidates. I actually really like a lot of these characters. I voted for Firestar, though. I'm just letting that out. Okay. But I just kind of want to like sit here. Let's talk about the vote. Talk about some of the things that happened. Who you're excited for. What you think. Like X-Men's coming up. What do we think is going to happen with this team? Do we think everybody's just going to kind of be dropped and we'll get a brand new crew? Do we just think the like member who's voted in is going to join in? What's going on? And then also, you need to tell us who you voted for, LZ, because I want to know.
Okay. Okay. So I mean, when I first looked at this list of people, I was like, oh, this is a pretty like diverse group of lists, like of characters. Like you got some Academy X kids in there, you got some villains, some characters who had never even really been with the X-Men like that. So I thought this was a pretty interesting list of people. I had no real ties to it this time because my fave already won. So I didn't have I didn't feel any type of way about whoever won. So for me, it came down to Firestar or Penance. So I just voted for both of them. I used to.
Terrible. That is not how you were supposed to vote.
Whatever.
Okay. So what were your reasonings for voting for them?
Okay, so like a lot of the other ones I was like, they're never gonna get my vote because I didn't really care at all. You know, MIcromax isn't someone I would do too much about. See, that was another thing is like I've realized that I was a very like main book reader when I was growing up when reading the X-Men, you know. So I feel like whenever you bring up a lot of characters, I'm like, who the hell is that? It's because like they were in side books and like I never really read a lot of minis and stuff like that unless my favorite character was in it. So I was like only in the X-Men or like Uncanny X-Men stuff. So like, but I think MIcromax wasn't he? He was in the O&E, right? So
he was in that,
yeah. So wasn't gonna vote for him. I didn't really care for Avalanche, whatever. Bling doesn't give me X-Men. I'm sorry. Like
everyone can't be famous.
She doesn't. She doesn't give me like I'm gonna be out there on the team. Like that's like her vibe. You know?
Okay.
I'm sure she'll be someplace else. Who else was in? So really it was only kind of down. It was really only down to like Surge, Firestar, and Monet for me.
Armor?
Yeah. I like her powers.
She does have good powers, but she's not a good character. I'm sorry. I know everybody loves her for the Whedon Astonishing era, but it's like she always very much gave me like generic spunky girl number 6.
Okay.
You know, and the Buffy template.
Right.
She ain't that cool, but whatever. Shout out to her. She came in like 3rd, or she looked like she was coming in 2nd or 3rd when the votes went, but she already lost once. I'm sure she lost again. So sad for her. For me, I think Firestar was like automatically my number 1 choice as soon as I saw the vote. I do like a lot of these characters. I love Gentle. I like Bling. I like Monet. I like MIcromax.
Yeah.
I was also a big reader of like the main Uncanny X-Men titles growing up, but I used to feel like a lot of times the main title was bad and the side books used to have all the good stories in them with like those extra characters. So I used to like really put a huge emphasis on reading those. And that's how I came to know a lot of those characters through those books. So that was always really great. But for me, Firestar just gave the best story potential. I think she is a character who's never really had her chance at being an X-Men. I think when you like kind of go back to her history of like the mini with the Hellions and like Emma and becoming kind of disillusioned and breaking free and then joining the Avengers, but like even the Avengers weren't all the things that she wanted them to be. I think her coming back to like that mutant place and like finding a spot to really belong, I just thought that story potential was great. Monet was my second choice to vote for, but I feel like Monet is one of those characters, she's gotten to a point where she's going to be fine. She has had a nice little rise in profile over the last few years, especially shout out to like that all-women X-Men team that she joined that Frenzy was actually supposed to be a part of that like saved her. I think that kind of added her into a spot where a lot of people recognize her and associate her with the X-Men now.
Should have been Frenzy.
It should have been Frenzy. I'll say that out loud. But I also think because of that, Monet is also one of those characters where she's like perfect. Her whole like slogan was like vote for perfection, because she has all of these abilities and she has all these powers and she can do all of this stuff. And that also kind of, I feel like, is the hindrance for her, because I know a lot of people were trying to say things like, oh, well, why would Firestar be on this team when Sunfire is on the team already? That's 2 fire people. But it's like, why would I have Monet on the team when I already got Jean and Rogue? She's a brawler. But in that same sense...
And currently on the team right now, you got Sync and Rogue.
Yeah, Sync can go. But...
And Rogue don't ever use her power absorption powers anyway, so...
She uses the one she got from Wonder Man.
That's a shame.
I think Monet has gotten to a spot where like she's always going to be used. She's become like a cool girl. She's that like, she is what Rogue used to be back in the day. You know how like people want a Rogue on the team? She was like the sassy brawler, like flying in, punching stuff. Like that's what Monet does. I'll never forget during Pad's original X Factor run, he had Richter describe Monet as Supergirl meets Veronica Lodge. And like that to me is Monet to a T. And that to me means that someone will always pick her up and put her in a space where she'll be visible and she'll be seen. She might not always be the main girl. I'm sorry, but it's like not her time yet. She's still got to work her way up there. She hasn't had enough personal stories for me yet. And I don't think X-Men is the place that's going to give her that personal story to make her hit. Look at Magic. Magic really just moved up the list. And look at how long ago that started. That was like back in, when was that Quest for Magic story in New X-Men? Like 2004, 2005?
Something like that. 6 maybe.
And now here we are in 2021.
I mean, honestly, her real takeoff didn't happen
2022.
until she became like the main girl on Bendis's X-Men. And like,
Okay. Like I'm sorry, there's a hierarchy, and Monet, you're just not at the top yet. I couldn't vote for you out of that. But if she wins, I'm cool with that too, because I still like her. She'll have my vote.
She got my vote. She's not a character that has ever been too interesting to me outside of like her sassy girlness. You know, I like when she's there and she is telling Jean she got to try harder, or, you know, being a bitch to somebody. So, but I don't necessarily know if I needed that in the X-Men, but out of all of them, she ended up still getting my vote.
Well, good for her. I mean, her fans really came out for her. They were like campaigning, they were like doing all. So, although I will say, you know, the voting this year got a little bit toxic on social media.
X-Men fans are nasty. I'm trying to say it. X-Men fans are nasty. I saw how they were. I saw how they were acting after Lorna was starting to win. They were just being so nasty and just mean.
Mean. And it's like, it's fun, guys. It's okay. And I think the good thing about this is that, you know, all these characters are still going to be around somewhere. Like, if they were put on this vote, like, they're on somebody's radar, and someone's going to see them. And it's like, even the team that lost last year, now they're about to get their little one shot as a secret X-Men, you know? And I just think that's always fun. I think the X-Men as a whole is always going to be a group that's very big, and everybody's always going to kind of want their favorite characters to get that shine. But again, we got to go through like 100-something characters. You got to wait a little bit. Unless you're like one of the main 20.
There's so many.
And if you're not one of the main 20 who was like around in the 90s, you just got to wait your turn. And like, it's okay. It's going to come. But nonetheless,
or you got to get yourself related to one of the main 20 or something.
That's the word. Become like their legacy character. Maybe start wearing their old costumes and using their powers the way that they used to.
You're onto something.
But that is neither here nor there. With that said, the X-Men Hellfire Gala this year is going to be a one-shot instead of a big crossover event like it was. And I will say, I think that's a lot more viable. Because while I did enjoy the Hellfire Gala last year and like the kind of bigness of it, it dragged on a little bit. And I think just doing it in this one shot is going to be like a lot easier to get. Do you think
Firestar one shot and Planet Size would have been a lot better last time around than them dragging that out? That would have been great.
Because we got
and yes, I do think Firestar is going to show up at the. Why wouldn't she? She's on the ballot.
She is. I know, but so Marvel was doing like the little updates to show. In the beginning, she was always number one. She did go down like 7%, but in the last one they showed, and Monet had risen by like 42%. Firestar was still number one though, but
that's what I'm saying. She rose by 42%, and she was still second. Like Firestar is pretty far ahead.
Shout out to the Amazing Friends cartoon for that, because
listen. I have to say this though. People used to always try to come for me when I say, you got to get your fave related to somebody else than other X-Men. And people say, no, you gotta, I want them to stay with the X-Men. And look, Firestar, I said that Firestar was going to be the one to be like, to probably take this because she is connected to the most powerful, the most popular comic book character in the world. Like in the world.
Okay.
And that's Spider-Man. Come on, y'all.
Well, she gonna be.
Come on. That's how I talk about Iceman. Iceman is an amazing friend. He fine.
He is an amazing friend, isn't he?
He's fine.
He is fine. You know, I would go onto like the Marvel Instagram account and like go through the comments, and it was always so funny because you could tell who was not paying attention or who didn't really know what was going on with the vote, because they would have like, oh, come vote for your X-Men, follow this link, and then people would be in the comments like, Wolverine. It was just like, Wolverine is not on this message, you guys.
You were paying attention.
It was just like, I'm not
paying attention.
What you said is okay. We know who gets it, all right. Oh my gosh. Is there anyone who you would have liked to see on the ballot?
You know what? I actually thought about that because this time around there were so many like different characters and like different kind of groups or whatever. I was like, oh, you know what? Who else would I have liked to see on this? But low key, they kind of hitting like
They hit a
all the
like
pretty much like they hit like a pretty
wide
broad
berth
stroke
of
with
like
it.
eras. Like you had a lot of new X-Men. You know, the new X-Men fans have been like clamoring for those kids to return. I personally don't think it's gonna happen in like the way they wanted to, but I still
It's
like
not.
that.
Except for Hellier. He deserves. That was the character I was going to say I would have liked to see on the ballot.
You think Hellion's gonna make a resurgence?
Yeah. He's probably going to be on the next X-Men vote.
Oh, okay. I don't know if I see it. I like.
You do. I know you do.
You know, it's I don't know. I feel like they kind of let his stock drop a little bit when they like got rid of his hands.
Yeah, he would get his hands back. They probably make that a little point.
I don't think he's ever gonna get his hands back.
I think he will.
But
they always draw on them without them even showing that they even separated, so it'd be really easy to say they get them back.
But I personally like the whole like robot hands being held by telekinesis thing. I think it's odd. I don't know why you hate it so much. It's a nice little visual, but I do like that they kind of like let the new X-Men kids, even if they're not going to put them together in a book, they're going to like try and push them to like other teams to help them grow up, because I know that's something that Marvel kind of struggles with their teen characters, is they put them in a spot where it's kind of hard for them to grow up. And I know they've even said it's like you can't really make the new X-Men grow up because then you make all the other X-Men old and you got to push them out. But it's like I feel like we are all familiar enough with comic books and the sliding time scale. I don't really think that's as important to people anymore.
I agree, and I do think that the new X-Men won't come back in the way that I think a lot of new X-Men fans want them to come back, like all together. But like, I think if you separate them, you can not only age them up because they can be like wherever, you can then also kind of grow their stock. Look at Pixie.
Queen, okay, and Dust.
And Dust.
Both of those girls. And you know, it's again, this was like brings me to a good point of Surge being on this team, because Surge was the third It girl of the new X-Men. It was Surge, Pixie, and Dust, and they were all destined for greatness. Pixie got picked up. She would continue to appear in a lot of like X-Men stuff. Fraction really loved her. Dust was everywhere. She ended up joining the Champions as well. I don't know how Surge fell off how she did.
I don't know either.
It was like very strange to me because she was right there with them, and then it was just like nothing. But again, I like that she was.
Well, I saw on Twitter the girls trying to say she a racist or something.
You know, so let's talk about that really quick.
You know,
during the Academy X series, for those who read it, Dust and Surge were roommates, and Surge was written to be a little bit ignorant of Dust's culture, and she was like, you know, why do you wear that? What's the reasoning? And Dust would say, you know, it's my culture. I don't want men to see me that way. I'm happy this way. I don't feel like I need to show skin all the time. So Noriko Surge was like sitting there in her little halter top and her booty shorts, showing all her skin with her belly ring out, and so she took offense to that. And so that caused a lot of friction for them in the run. By the end of that story arc, they both came back together, and Surge like apologized to the girl and was like, you know what, that is your culture. I didn't mean to be that way. You just don't judge me for the way that I dressed, and I won't judge you. And Dust said the same thing. And they were homegirls. Like all it was like two girls saying, we come from different worlds, but now we're gonna get back together. And they were cool friends. They were actually like really good friends after that. Like they would protect each other and do stuff like that. And they were cool. And so then Surge went on to lead the new X-Men team during one of their like worst times in history. She's putting the work. People just
Surge deserves. Surge was the other one that I wanted to vote for.
She was like,
there were so many that I wanted to vote for this time around that I was like, because there were so many characters that were like lower tier faves of mine. Like, oh, I don't go up for you like that, but I kind of like you.
like you see it, like you see the potential.
And Surge was one of those. It was truly like she was up there for me.
She deserves. Again, like I might have voted for Firestar, but anybody on this year's
they may have shelved her because of like her powers. You know, Who's she gonna fight?
Oh, you think she's a little too powerful?
Who is
The
she blasting?
electricity and then the super speed, and then like I remember during that House of M tie-in, they said that she might have some healing capabilities.
Who is she
She's
fighting?
she's a hot girl. I'm
You
sorry,
know?
like, she's got it. She's got it. But she again, she's one of those ones. She didn't get her leaving the X-Men moment. Even Pixie would appear over in the Runaways,
Mm.
and like Young Avengers type of stuff like that. She didn't really have that moment, which she should get it because she again
She need a
deserves.
new redesign.
She does.
Was it she? I think she probably needs a new redesign that's more striking. Pixie and Dust both have them.
Yeah, they do. And so my thing with Noriko was always going to be like her gauntlets. But I feel like the way I feel about the gauntlets, people don't like. I like that they're big and clunky and like kind of massive because I think like, hey, they're gauntlets. Why wouldn't they be?
No,
But
I don't like that. She looks like an anime character.
Joy of it.
I like when they're like sleeker and on her arms and stuff. There was this one redesign I seen of her with like a little shortcut. A little pixie cut, and it was like a little blue pixie cut, and she had these sleek gloves. I think it was by Chris Anka. I think he did I think he's a big Surge fan, and he had a really cool redesign for her.
I think he definitely was tweeting about voting.
Surge is hot. She did almost get my vote.
She's a good character. I'm sorry. So as a person who was the fan of the character who won last year, do you feel like Polaris winning like really did help her? Has really helped her character and helped her stock rise?
Oh, absolutely. I think that for a while she was always just seen as like an ancillary character only associated with X Factor. But I think since winning the X-Men vote, and I obviously can't speak for all the voters who did vote for her, I do think a lot of people wanted to see her still step into the big leagues, whereas she had been on the X-Men before, but it was like more in like an assistant kind of thing, not in an official kind of you're joining the team. It was more like, hey, we need your help for something, and you're here helping us too. And she always stuck around because she is, believer in the mutant cause. Yeah, but I do think now that she won the vote, it has definitely raised her clout, and people see her more as someone who can be on that roster. Kind of like what you said when there's like, those main 20 girls where people are kind of picking who they're like an X-Men team. I do think that now that Polaris' name will come up in that conversation.
Okay. That's very exciting. Now, with the team in this vote and the gala and everything coming up, do you think she will continue to stay on?
I mean, and also I do want to say that I do love that forever she will always be the first winner of the X-Men vote.
Okay. That was a moment. Which, again, I still say that Dowderman should have gave her a costume design. They knew she won.
I agree. They knew as soon as they knew she won,
he should have made something for her.
They should have gave her something. They'd be stingy with the designs. He must be expensive. You must charge.
Okay.
But yeah, I do think she's going to stay on the team post this vote because I think that the team is going to split up. I do think that Jean and Cyclops talked about, all the issues that they were having with the game world people attacking them with the Annihilation Wave and all those other monsters. And then they had some stuff to deal with on Earth with learning about the humans, learning about resurrection and Phalong and all that kind of stuff. So they feel like the team needs to split up. So I do think that they are going to split up. And I do think Lorna will still stay on one of those teams. Yeah.
Okay. So splitting to do like a blue and gold type of situation for the X-Men.
Exactly. I honestly see not only the story going that way, but I can honestly see Marvel trying to like capitalize on that again.
Who doesn't love the 90s?
I could totally see them doing another X-Men blue and gold thing again. And then you have blue, gold, and red, each one led by, probably have blue with Cyclops, gold with Jean, and X-Men red is Storm.
So let me ask you this. If they split the team up and they kind of do this, do you see it just being like the main team being split up into two factions, or is it like we have the team that we have now as the blue team, and then like whoever wins this next vote plus some new characters will make up the gold team?
I think it'll be a shuffle. Like,
Okay.
we have the team we have now. There's a new vote for another person to join.
Mm-hmm.
To join blue or gold, but then amongst however many people, they're gonna split them up that way. So like, it'll be a shuffle.
Is there anyone else who you hope to see?
You know, there was a time I would have said Iceman, but recently.
Mm-hmm. This is a safe space. This is a safe space. Go ahead and say it.
This is a safe space, y'all. Recently, he's been turning into a very white gay. And that's not the type of Iceman I always thought he was ever going to be. He always gave me like, you know I'm a white gay, but like, I'm not that kind of white gay. You know?
Okay.
We all have friends like that. And that was the kind of person I thought that he was going to be, but they got him in Ibiza with Christian Frost, and
he did go to Ibiza with Christian Frost.
It's not giving what I thought. So I don't know if I need that right now. And I feel like if he were to join, they would join the X-Men anyway. He would end up becoming more of that.
I mean,
instead of something a little bit more with a little bit more direction.
I was about to say maybe not, but if the current writer of X-Men is still writing the book, then that is how he wrote him in Marauder. So it probably would be.
And I don't want that. So.
So here's my second question for you. You think the team is splitting?
Mm-hmm.
Still in one book or two books?
2 books, because I don't see the current book having the space for 2 teams.
It barely has space for one.
Exactly. So like, I mean, how many times has a Rogue spoken?
I honestly.
How many times have Laura spoken?
The only reason I ever know Sunfire is in the book is because he's like getting knocked out very early on.
So.
Okay.
Exactly. So I do think it'll be another book, probably some rollout that they'd have for.
That could be a little bit exciting.
Mm-hmm.
I think,
maybe it'll be something post this whole Eternals, Avengers, X-Men thing.
Maybe that could be like the new team's first thing, like kind of getting in there. I do know, I saw some tweets saying that the writer said the new team would be debuting in issues like 13 and 14. Okay. And I feel like that lines up with the time frame of those events. And then I think a Marvel tweet actually said that the next gala is going to be a one-shot again. It's going to be in June. So
do you think it's going to be 2 books or just one? Or do you not think they're going to split up at all? Do you think it's just going to be a whole new team?
So I never thought they were going to.
Jean and Cyclops would go give everybody the damn boot. It's like,
that's kind of what I thought. But I think like when the Hellfire Gala and the vote first came around, I felt like I said that. I always felt like this team was going to be this year-long thing. They got their like 12 to 15 issues, depending on like one-shots and stuff like that. And then by the next gala, because it was Jean and Scott's team, they would stick around and everybody else would leave, and we just get a brand new kind of rollout, and they just keep going with that. But like you said, the whole splitting up thing does make sense, so I can see it now being 2 teams. I think I would prefer it to be 2 books if it was 2 teams. I think I would also prefer one of the books to be written by somebody else.
It probably will. At least I would like to. I don't think why not? I think I would rather have another voice instead of, having Dugan have the whole like, Hickman 2-book thing. I think that only really works
with Hickman.
No, never. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think I need that writer to have a second book.
No, I think it would be cool to have another one.
But Yeah, I was just
Oh,
thinking
you
about it
know what?
again.
I bet. Do you think that's how they would end up just evolving the X-Men franchise, where you have an X-Men on Earth, Krakoa, and then you have an X-Men team in space, and then you have an X-Men team on Arakko? So
Mm.
you have X-Men Blue, Gold, and Red.
Red. They really want to push the X-Men Red brand, I see.
I think that's gonna be a thing. I think they're really trying to make X-Men Red like a brand.
Okay. Do you think they'll kind of continue on with like just colors in general? Because remember they had the X-Men Green as the Marvel Unlimited story for that Antler Girl.
hmm Well, I think that was just the title of that arc. I think the series is X-Men
Uh,
Unlimited.
I didn't read it.
I read it. It was whatever. It's Nature Girl.
That's why I
Whatever.
didn't read it.
Whatever. I read the first stuff with Wolverine. That was good.
I did
The
read that,
Hickman. The Hickman stuff.
but that was also Wolverine, so I was going to read that.
Right.
Do you? I'm sorry, I'm still thinking about like that writer getting a second book. It's just like
I really do think that they might end up evolving the franchise into like, instead of Uncanny and X-Men, they made us do those 3 colors.
I actually wouldn't be opposed to that. You know, I think
I
I'm
mean,
on
they
the
did that for a while before. Remember, they did the X-Men Gold and Blue. Now they were bad.
those were
they
very
were
bad.
really bad.
Very bad.
But
you know,
X-Men Blue was all right.
that's the one
lasted
that had
for a while too.
the young 05, right?
Mm-hmm.
And because Jean did that pink form that her things won't let go.
Yeah, the one that they let her put some panels for.
Which I still kind of don't understand how that worked, but whatever. That's not my favorite.
It's like psychic energy. She absorbs it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be opposed to those being like the 3 colors. Again, I might be on the other side of the fence here, but I was never one of the folks who really thought Uncanny needed to come back. I understand like everyone loves the name Uncanny X-Men, but I'm fine with there not being an Uncanny book.
Yeah, I agree.
I
I'm
don't
totally
think
fine
it's
with
really
the books being called something that they can like brand for themselves. Although I'm not really with all these of X titles. Like those all sound limiting to me. You know, they don't
like
sound
Knights
like an
of X,
ongoing thing.
Legions
Yeah.
of X. It sounds
But
like 6 issues.
But X-Men, exactly. But X-Men Red or Gold or Blue or whatever, like those just sound like, oh, you know what you're getting when you go to them. Like this is that team, this is that team, and this is that team.
Okay, I can see that. I don't know if I necessarily see. I can see one team being Arakko. I can see one team being Krakoan. I don't know if I necessarily see the space team. I feel like the Arakko team and the space team might kind of cancel each other out at times in what they do. But I mean, I guess if they never leave Arakko. But then it's also like, well, but
I think
guess,
the point would be like they would like bounce between the two of them. Like they could like, you know.
But I was about to say, I guess I haven't really seen enough of Arakko to be like, oh, we can't just have people on Arakko doing stuff, which is what X-Men Red is going to be about. So maybe it's happening.
See? And X-Men Red is more so literally about Arakko than it is like a team per se, you know. Or at least that's what it seems like to me. We don't know for sure, I guess.
I think it will be. You know, he doesn't. Well, he doesn't let me down, but I also like Storm, so it's different from.
I like Storm. I don't know why you try to play like Storm.
Whatever you say.
I like watching Storm do her thing and use her powers. I'm not interested in Storm. Storm is not the Storm is not the type of character that interests me. Like that type of character and like that story does not interest me. But she's dope as hell. I like watching her do her thing. Her powers are cool as shit. Like, hello.
Well, she's the type of character that interests me.
Although I do think that I would be interested in Regent Storm, but again, we haven't really seen
too much of the Regent.
Too much of that Regent Storm.
Yeah.
I do think I could find myself actually being like, oh, Storm is interesting. Like, I want to see more of this with her being Regent. But I feel like they're not really like tapping into that enough. But maybe we'll see it in X-Men Red.
I was about to say, I feel like it kind of got cut off a little bit.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the line getting reshuffled, like Sword ended. It felt a little abrupt. We got the X-Lines That's Wolverine thing, and now we're going to go into X-Men Red. So I feel like now we're really starting to get a little bit more into Reed's story. And I think it's actually going to play a big part because she's going to have to do that in X-Men Red. She's also going to be an immortal X-Men on the Council. So we'll have to see kind of how those two things conflict and like how she operates there.
Mm.
I wonder if she'll lose one of the spots. More than likely the Council.
You think so? The Council's falling apart. So probably.
I gotta be honest, I'm not as interested in the Council as I used to be, but I'm gonna still pick the book up.
Is it because of the members, or is it because of what the Council is like doing now post Inferno?
I think it's a mix of both things. I think I'm excited to learn a little bit more about Exodus on the Council. You know,
King.
Me and you have talked about this many times. I've always kind of wanted, if Xavier and Magneto were to ever move on and like just stop being a part of the X-Men or like the mythos of what everything, I would love it to be Exodus and Nightcrawler as the characters who kind of took their spots as like heads of everything, because I think they're both two very ideological characters. I don't really care about Emma. I don't think Kate's. I'm sorry to the Emma fans. I know how y'all get about y'all White Queen. And
Lady Area.
I really don't think Kate is that interesting. I don't really think she adds any valuable opinions to the Council when we have seen her on there. Who else is there? Destiny and Mystique. I don't like Mystique. I'm here for Destiny, though. I think she's fun. Xavier. I love Xavier. I'm sorry. I know everybody hates him, but that's my boy. It's like, I don't know what you... Like, none of us would be here if it wasn't for him. What do you mean?
Yeah.
And if it continues on with like Doug stuff, then yes. But it's like outside of that, I don't know. But I also think I feel like the Council has kind of gotten to a point where it's not really needed anymore. I think like we kind of gotta start to spread it out, like bring a little democracy in here, because y'all ain't doing a good job.
I wonder if that gets to the point of like voting for council seats too, since they vote for X-Men.
That would be nice. I would like to see something like that happen. That would be cool. But maybe Kate just needs to leave. I just don't like her. And
Yeah. I don't know, but sometimes I see people try to put people on the council that I'm like, maybe we found what we got. Like,
that's how we got Colossus.
True.
It's just like it's not hitting. If the X-Men team, going back to them, if they do split up, which one do you want Lorna on?
You know where I want her to go. Come on, y'all know where I want her to go. Y'all know I want my girl to go out in space.
Okay.
That's exactly where I want her to go.
Let me ask you, you're a Lorna's fan, and you're sticking with X-Men. Who on that team do you really kind of want to see her bonding with and like getting to know a little bit better?
I've been thinking about that, and while I've seen some people say it should be Jean, I still stick by I like what their relationship is now, which is, they're their oldest friends. Like, they aren't close because they both just grown up, they've done other things, but like they're still cool. Honestly, on that team, she should be getting closer with Rogue. They've actually kind of bonded a lot before with stuff, and I forgot how often they had actually been around each other. They did some X-Men stuff previously during it was during Autumn Run, but so whatever.
And the Milligan run, but I like the Milligan. But the Milligan one wasn't that good for Lorna though.
It was not.
That's when she lost her powers.
Yeah, it was not. It was doing House of M. Shout out to Scarlet Witch.
They love that Scarlet Witch now. She just gave me Elijah Fields.
Oh yeah, she's a human.
They want her to be an X-Man.
To do what?
Do magic, I guess. Because the other magic girl they got don't do nothing.
Listen, that's a shame. The X fans, are y'all that desperate for a magic girl that you got to go steal one from the Avengers?
Hey,
come on.
I mean, whatever gets me wicked on her cover, I don't really care. I'm all right. Oh, he should have been on the vote next year. I'm gonna start campaigning for that this year.
They have to reconfirm he a mutant first, right?
I don't really think so. I think, I know they would love to, or like I know certain people like need him to, but I feel like Wiccan is in a position where he's been in so many like alternate reality stories as already just the X-Man and the mutant. It happens, it happens.
I don't know.
And then my thing is also is like people trying to be like,
his husband gonna let him go? He's gonna let him do too much.
The husband's gonna die.
I don't know. I don't know if he allows to go.
Or the divorce. Marvel's not going to divorce them. They're like the gays right now. Mm-hmm. That's so unfortunate.
They're gonna give them a kid before they divorce them.
No, North Star's getting a kid.
They're definitely gonna give Wiccan.
They're not.
They're definitely gonna have them adopt the kid.
They're still too young. They're like 15 still.
They can't do it. They're like 25.
North Star's getting the kid. Wiccan will soon be single, and an X-Man leading the team. Actually, do you know I was just rereading that Doctor Strange and the Sorcerer Supreme miniseries the other day, and it was like Wiccan's in it, his older version, and he's like leading the X-Men.
Wow!
When that comes to life,
Hoagland let him free for a little bit. Okay, good for him.
Hoagland was dead.
Wow. A widow? Wow.
It's all gonna come together.
A single father. Wow.
Okay. For next year, if there's another vote, is this the team that you still kind of want to see Lorna continue on, or by that time will you say she's ready to move on?
For me, I think that I liked that this vote put her out there and really started to associate her more so with the X-Men and like that brand, like she's seen as like a superhero that could be out there, kicking ass on everybody else. I would like that to continue so that we really get like, probably another costume or two under with her time as an X-Men still. Not necessarily this run, but just like, if this cancels and relaunches or whatever, I would rather her stay with the X-Men, the costume or so then she's still seen as an X-Men. Someone who people would pick on a roster when people are asked, pick a team of 8 X-Men. And then I want Lorna to be someone that people can think of for that. And then eventually after that, I would like her to move on.
Okay, that's always fun. Well, I think for next year, the biggest thing that I would like for Marvel to actually grab some of the fans. I'm going to say it. They took some ideas from a lot of X-Twitter from the last vote. This year, sure. We had like campaigns for the characters. They were doing like little voice notes and stuff. And none of that was happening.
Slogans and all of that.
Like, none of that was happening for the first X-Men vote. And, like, shout out to X-Twitter for really kind of pushing that idea and putting it out.
I ain't see none of that done for Lorna. Nothing. Okay? We was out here just voting for her because we liked her. There were no campaigns, no slogans, no, magnetic, whatever. They were going to rhyme with that to make it cute. And catchy for people to remember. Nothing.
It was not done that way. And I hope that should this vote continue, I kind of hope that Marvel really does mine some of that talent that is out there, because there are so many people who like put a lot of hard work into making those posters and really pushing this vote and this thing to be as big as it is becoming. And I would love to see that recognized. I think as comic book fans, we always want our faves to like succeed, and like I think being a part of something that helps them grow and just getting in that biz is really great. So, Marvel, if you're listening, I got a couple people I can call.
For sure. Get the fans involved because they're the ones who like really pushed it.
But that was just one give a little shout about the X-Men vote, talk it out, see who you voted for. Hopefully you guys voted for Firestar. We will see you back in June to figure out who won Firestar, because she was, baby, if that lead was real.
Yeah. She's leagues alive.
But again,
shout out to Monet and shout out to Serge.
They shout out to Surge. They deserve. Gentle also deserves. I hope he like comes and does something big. MIcromax. I'm a MIcromax fan.
For me, I will say that I feel like Gentle would have a more impactful story in a Black Panther book, right? Like, would he like have like
he's like popped
bigger
up in a couple, and he's popped up in a couple, and like he's gotten some anthology stories where he like went back to Wakanda, but the whole thing about him in Wakanda is that like his dad is white. And so they didn't like him. So when he even goes back and like sees his mom, she has another kid, and she just acts like she doesn't know him.
Whenever they talked about his dad not being around, or that his dad not being from Wakanda, I didn't know he was white.
Yeah, he's a white Russian man.
I thought he was just
Russian, but he was definitely white.
I thought his dad was just, I don't know, some black dude from.
No, his daddy white. He mixed.
I didn't know he was mixed. I never knew he was mixed.
He mixed.
Wow, I didn't.
He light skinned.
Full black, and that his dad was just some American. And that's why they didn't.
Yeah.
Shows how much I know about the Academy X kids. Sorry.
I'm a swear. We'll do some Academy X rereading one day.
Yeah.
That's right. And speaking of rereading, let's go ahead and take a break, and then when we come back, we'll go over our reread of the week.
Let's do it.
Didn't he do X Factor during the during Messiah Complex?
Wasn't that him? He did. Yeah, that was him.
Yeah, I feel like that was him.
His Wikipedia says he also did Aquaman Volume 8 in 2016 to 2017.
Oh my gosh, he did! I do remember that. Yes. Because that was when Dan Abnett was writing the book. It started with Brad Walker, and then when Brad Walker left, Scott joined. Oh, shout out to Scott, a working man. And with that, welcome back everybody for another reread. And this week we will be discussing Doomwar. An event from 2010, the solicit goes, Wakanda has been conquered, its vibranium reserves plundered, Storm faces execution in the next 48 hours, and Dr. Doom stands triumphant. It will take the combined forces of the X-Men, the Fantastic Four, and the 2 Black Panthers to stand against him. A war has begun that will pit the world's most relentless supervillain against the collection of the world's most powerful superheroes. One that will span the globe, offering twists and turns and surprise players, hello Deadpool, that neither side will see coming. It's rated T for teen. And it's written by Jonathan Mayberry with art from Scott Eaton. Has Jonathan Mayberry done anything else?
Let's see.
Yes. Or was he like writing Black Panther at the time?
Let's see if I can find anything.
I will say while you look.
I've never really heard of him before, but it looks like he was kind of doing like events here and there. He did like a Black Panther event called Black Panther Power, another Black Panther event called Age of Heroes. It looks like he just comes in and does like Black Panther minis.
One that I just know. I will say that, this was my first time reading this event.
Okay.
And I
haven't read it since it came out. I haven't read this since. When did this come out? 2010?
Yes, 2010. I will always say, I'm not the biggest Black Panther fan. I've tried to get into a couple of his runs before. It just never really clicks for me. I actually think I remember getting into this run because it was like during the Storm and Black Panther marriage. And they were saying like Storm was gonna like do some fun stuff, but I read the first like 2 or 3 issues of the run, and I like wasn't that big of a fan. And then like the whole Shuri thing happened where she became Black Panther, and I felt like that was really weird. Not because it was Shuri taking over, but I remember the promos, and I'll never forget one of them was like it had Sue on it, and it was like, will the Invisible Woman become the next Black Panther? And I thought that was like the funniest thing in the world.
Nobody set my girl up like that.
And like I'll never forget like seeing the promo image of like the Black Panther suit and then just her white face on it, or her like blonde hair, and I was like, why are they doing this? But nonetheless, I will say going into this event as my first time reading, not knowing too much about like anything else, the backstory, I enjoyed it. I am a person who is really into Doctor Doom, and I would like to get to know a little bit more about him without having to read Fantastic Four books. And like, I think this was a perfect way to do that. And Doom was giving.
I got him, y'all. Fantastic Four fans, we working.
Well, we're not going that far because the Fantastic Four were not giving in this. I will say
that. Their event. It's Doom's event.
Clearly, because they was getting squashed. Every scene of them was like them getting beat up. They were getting beat up, and they were talking about how they were too tired. Like, what's going? Go back to the lab.
Not do too much here.
What are y'all here for?
Not do too much here.
What are you here for?
To solve the problems. Who else are gonna do it? When Doom is on a rampage, who do y'all call?
You know, let me just say,
okay.
Dr. Doom is that guy. Okay.
Dr. Doom is goated.
Like,
period.
He's just amazing. The entire like scene, you know. So for those who don't know, like
Marvel villains,
Doctor Doom like goes and steals all the vibranium reserves from Wakanda, and like in doing so, he has this big confrontation with Bast, and Bast is like the god that the Wakandans like worship, and she gives the Black Panther powers to, and all that stuff, and she has to like deem people worthy. And there's this scene in one of the issues that has Doom and Bash just kind of going back and forth and talking, and she's like, you know, you're this horrible person, you've done this and that, and like you think you are so like smart and you can do all of this and you'll win, and he's just like, no, I know I will. And he's like, and nothing else drives me more than like my faith. He's like, I have the faith that I can do this. I have the faith that I am the greatest. I have the faith that I can do like anything that I want. And I was just like, that's what I'm talking about. Confidence.
You got believes it.
And I was like, it was just like such a well done scene, and I just really loved the way that Mayberry did a lot of his dialogue throughout this entire thing. And it's just like, Doom is great, and it was like he was getting it, and they couldn't stop him. He was embarrassing everybody, and it was hilarious.
He was really embarrassing them. Like it seemed like every turn, things just kept getting worse and worse and worse for the heroes throughout this. Like it started with Storm getting ready to be executed because there's the Distillery who took over Wakanda. Basically, like they never liked the way that Shuri was running the state and how like T'Challa was doing stuff. They didn't like that, so they tried to take over. They got help from Doom, basically, but of course Doom was just looking for the vibranium. Now, when Doom took Storm into the lock where the vibranium was and was like, you know, I will kill everyone in this room until you open the lock. And he shot and killed T'Challa's uncle. I was like, oh, Doom does not play. Like it'll now they will always hate each other because Doom killed T'Challa's uncle and did not care about killing them at all. The one thing Doom is easily one of my top favorite like Marvel villains. Obviously, I'm a big Fantastic Four fan, so I've always pretty much been a Doom fan. But like outside of them, he's just a great character. He is the perfect marriage of science and magic. He truly, the best kinds of villains are those who truly just believe in themselves, and no one believes in their cause more than Doom because Doom just really thinks that he's that guy, and obviously most of the time he proves it. And like the heroes in this would figure out one thing where they find that, okay, well, Doom separated all of the vibranium up. He put them in separate locations. We need to go and get them, but there's like a main source of it all with where we need to figure out where that is. Then of course every location where the vibranium was, there were like Doom bots that had obviously had already been amped up with the vibranium, and Doom didn't care about any of the Doom bots being destroyed because the purpose of them was just to record them fighting so that all of the Doom bots could get stronger and better. Like he's thinking way beyond everybody else in the he does not play.
You know, I will say, I think the one thing, you know, you brought up Storm and like how he had kidnapped her and she was like about to be executed. I think the one thing that this event did remind me of is why I used to not enjoy Storm and Black Panther books. I
Hmm.
think a lot of times during that marriage, she was often played up as a character as a damsel in distress. She had to either be saved by her husband or anything that she did do that was like supposed to be a moment for her was really just like lifting up T'Challa. And it was never really a lot of agency of her own. And I will say, even throughout this little event, she still had like a lot of nice power moments.
Oh
But
yeah.
I feel like very early on in the era of their relationship, so much of her agency had been stripped. And I was reminded of that here. And I was just like, look how far we've come. Shout out to Coates for fixing that relationship.
Yeah. She was definitely a little bit of a damsel in here, but I mean, she wasn't like a damsel in distress. She was definitely fighting back while she was handcuffed,
Yeah.
and even while she was in
I mean,
that
she got out of her
prison.
prison.
Yeah, but I mean, shout out to Doom for even like being messy with her being in that prison. He was like, this is a prison that is on Wakandan soil, like is only the king would know about it, and it depowers mutants. Who do you think this was for? And like that was like, ooh.
Open
Doom is
your
being
eyes,
messy.
open your eyes. Okay.
But yeah, I thought that was really great. Doom just had, I think Doom is probably a character that's really daunting to probably write because it's like he's so known that you don't want to like mess that up, and he has such a distinct voice that you can easily become like a caricature of that voice. But I
Yeah.
do feel like Mayberry really like nailed it, where you really believed everything that Doom was saying, and it
Mm-hmm.
didn't just feel like I am Doom and I am right. So here's me
100%.
saying a corny lie.
Like I said, I feel like everything that he said or how he was written to say in this book, it like you felt the intention, you felt the purpose, it felt real to you, like it really carried. If Mayberry ever wants to come back to Marvel, he should definitely do a Doom solo or something like that.
Oh yeah. I've always wondered why he never has a solo, like an ongoing solo. Is it because he's a villain?
I would say I
Even
think
though
it's
I
because
would
he's a
consider
villain.
him like a villain.
Yeah, well, I I think it's a little bit a mix of like, he's a villain, and then he's one of those people who I feel like you said, he's a really big mix of science and magic. So he's very powerful. He's very smart. He's very intelligent. His series would really just be like heroes just coming to fight him all the time. Because it's like
Hmm.
if he was just left to his own machinations to do what he want, why wouldn't he succeed?
He does. That's what they do in Latveria. That was the one thing that was so great about one of the things I loved about Doom was that he took over Latveria, which was like where he was born and all that stuff. He came back, took it over, and the heroes tried to like dethrone him, but the people love him because as long as they listen to him, things are great.
Yeah. And the heroes ain't gonna listen to nobody.
No,
So I don't know. I
especially
would
the
like to see him
Avengers.
in this own series. Or the X-Men.
They not. They not. I did appreciate that the X-Men appear in this event, and
Mm-hmm.
T'Challa and Shuri go to the X-Men to get some help, and they say we will help
But not
Storm,
you.
but we're not really here for you. for you.
That was really nice. And I also even loved the part where Cyclops was kind of telling T'Challa, he was like, I'm kind of running my own nation because at this time when they were living on the little asteroid M thing,
Nation X.
Nation X era, and he was like, I'm kind of running my own nation here. I can't really sanction this since I'm trying to be legitimate. However, that's not going to stop anybody else from just wanting to go rogue. And then like we see not Storm, we see Colossus, Wolverine, Nightcrawler all on the ship. Like, yeah, we're going to go help, which I thought was like a really nice moment. And again, like you said, I love how they were like, we don't really care about you, but we surely going to help Storm.
And those three, those are her original OGs. The
Those are the
all
ones.
new, all different X-Men. They were there with her from the start. So I appreciate that they went to go in and help her
Yeah.
out. What did you think about like Shuri in this? She was a lot more
so
violent.
yeah, she was real angry. I don't know too much about like what's going on with Shuri in the current Black Panther books. I know she's apparently like magic now or something like that. But
Mhm.
I was into the violence here. I feel like, but
She was snapping necks. She snapped that
she,
dude's neck.
she was like, she wasn't playing games. She was like, these people gotta die. You know, I'm going to respect it. They trying to kill me. We gonna do what we gotta do. But at the same time, I will say I do feel like the writing here was very. I guess it just made sense for the time that she was in. You know, I feel like Shuri hadn't gotten because Shuri is she like an old character or was she kind of just
She was
created?
de-aged, and I was gonna actually bring that up next. Was she was de-aged in the MCU, but like she was. Oh, do you mean old as like when she was created, or when she
Both
was
actually.
how old she is in the universe? So in universe, she's supposed to be older than she is in the MCU. She was
Okay.
created, I think, in like 2007, something like that.
Okay, that makes sense too. I feel like the Shuri, like who was here, since she was a kind of a newly created character, they were still like building up that response, that personality for her. And like in
Mm.
doing that, you kind of had to go through that era of younger sister kind of carrying the weight of this country on her back after her brother, who's gone through all this stuff. Like she's trying to prove herself. She's a little angry. She's a little mad. She's a little violent. So it worked. But I feel like the story, if I was to read a Black Panther book now, is completely different.
Yeah, I think that she was probably a lot more, probably closer aligned to her MCU version.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I preferred the 6161. At least you're probably right. I don't know if they've kind of melded the two or how they've kind of evolved her now, but
It's been
I
weird because like
like
I
this
know
one.
I've seen her on I know I've seen her like on
She
promo
was violent,
images
but I
and things
liked it.
like that, especially after the MCU where she very much gave the teacher right Shuri. You know, she had the
Hmm.
little blasters on her hand, she had the braids, she was doing all that. But then I've seen other stuff of her where they've created she's become like a magic person. She's turned it into birds and she's got a staff and she's doing all these things. So it's like your Black Panther fans, please let me know how'd she get there because you know I love a magic girl.
You know what? Speaking of magic girls, I was actually going to bring this up because they bring up a lot of like mystical stuff in this book. We see the one lock that in the beginning that Black Panther has on the chamber that holds the vibranium. That Doom is like, oh, this is magic, but like he didn't think I was going to be able to get through this, and that's nothing. I'm also a
Mm-hmm.
sorcerer. But then they also bring up that the main reason that Doom even wanted the vibranium is because vibranium has like magical properties.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but like the Wakandans have never figured out like what that means. Like they just haven't been able to figure
Mm-hmm.
out anything like that. Do you think that that's something that they should try to tap into eventually with the 616? You know, I've brought up before that like, you know, I don't really get down with the magic girls, but y'all need some more people because it can't always just be Scarlet Witch and Doctor Strange. Like,
Mm,
where the
that's
roster
true.
at?
I do agree with that. I think there, and it's
So
crazy because there actually are a lot of like magical characters in the Marvel universe. I don't know, they just don't pop. Maybe they will now that like the MCU seems to, like you said, be branching off into its little corners and they want to build up stuff. I think if they want to bring a lot of those characters back from that '90s Darkhold series, there's this like black character Jinx that I always really liked. He's a magic guy, but as for your question of bringing vibranium in and like the Wakandans and letting them tap into magic, why not? Everybody should get a chance to play. It's
I
fun.
agree.
I don't
Yeah.
really know who would be the one to do it. I feel like Wakanda has become such a tech place. You know, it's
Right.
really all about like the science and the gadgets and all of those things. But again, but that mystical element is still there. You know, Bast and how they deal with their ancestors and just like the land and the energy. So it's the groundwork is already there. It's just somebody's got to want to do it. And I
I'd
don't really
rather
know
them
if people
create a
want.
new character instead of giving it to Shuri.
Yeah, because I was about to say I don't really know if like people want Black Panther to be mystical.
Right. No. Like his book or the character.
Both.
Yeah. I'm saying like they could make like, you know, a black girl Scarlet
Hmm.
Witch, except her connection isn't Cthon. It's like vibranium, whatever. Whatever connection vibranium has to whatever kind of mysticism.
That could be hot. Maybe it could
Yeah.
get me to go to Wakanda.
Come on. We'll see. I did like the way that Scott Eaton, the way that he drew a lot of the black characters in this. Everybody looked black,
Yeah,
so I appreciate that a
I
lot.
would. Yeah, the art. I don't know. I feel like I like the art. At times, I do feel like there needed to be either a different colorist or inker or something on certain pages. Like some of the big battle scenes would get a little bit muddy and feel like it was kind of all drawn together and meshed together. But outside of that, like when it was like singular characters or they were doing something, it looked really good. I love the way he drew the Midnight Angels when they made their debut. And like they were sneaking into like areas to get stuff. They looked really good. I loved everything he did with Storm's powers. Whenever she used them, that was fun.
Yeah.
When Deadpool came in and was doing stuff, that was great. Again, Doom looked really good and imposing and good stuff.
I loved all the different Doombots that he had in it too. Those were really cool. Again, I know y'all don't like robots, but sometimes you got to give them out there for people to fight. They got powers. Let them fight.
They're like a good goon, something to just whack around.
Exactly. What would you like rate this event? First time through?
I think I'd give it a 4 out of 5. Okay. I feel like I said, like I had a lot of fun with it, and I feel like going in and not really knowing anything about what was going on during that Black Panther era, or just knowing too much about Doom in general, I feel like it was very accessible. I feel like I didn't have to go back and do too much reading. I feel like it was very self-contained. I feel like there were lots of fun guest cameos from the X-Men to Deadpool to like War Machine randomly popping up. Really good action. The dialogue was cool. Yeah, it was solid.
I didn't think anybody sounded like out of character either throughout this entire thing. People sounded right. The action was great. Yeah.
Yeah.
I also would end up giving it like a 4 out of 5. Don't do that.
I'm sorry.
Okay. Don't do that.
Sorry. It was like
how would they ever gotten anything done if Reed wasn't the one to help them develop the technology?
As I was going through this, and I was like taking screenshots. I got about like 7 screenshots alone of Johnny getting stomped out and Storm having to come save him. And then it's like
they're fighting vibranium built machines.
Aren't you fired? You can't melt them, and then you got Sue, and then you got your girl Sue, your little girl sister. Sue. That's right. Little Miss Powerful, in there every 5 seconds talking about, I don't think we can keep this up. I don't know how much longer we can do this.
She out there by herself.
They're shooting her with stuff, and she's getting like curb stomped. There was one panel here, it was like 5 people over top of her, and I'm just like, girl, don't you make force field?
Look what you just said. Look what you just said.
Don't you make
5 people on top of her?
You don't want to make one of them. First of all, you don't want to walk around with a force field constantly around your body and then just like expand that out.
She does that too.
She must have forgotten. And
you just talked about there being 5 people on there. There were 5 Hulk-sized things. She said they all each have Hulk range strength. And she's attacked by 5 of them.
Y'all be telling me everything in the powers. Y'all be saying she's like got it.
Just saying. I don't see none of your faves out there taking any of those kind of damages. Or, well,
right.
They don't use their powers.
They don't. And they're thriving. Thriving.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm glad you liked this event. I felt like it was fun. I hope that people that read along with us had a good time with it. It's a fun thing. Actually, while I was reading this again, it made me remember why I like this event, because it's just fun action. You see the conflicts, and Doom is fantastic, and it felt like it could be easily adapted. I could see this being turned into something like either an animated series or an animated movie or something like that. It would be
the MCU.
Great. They probably. Oh damn! I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. They probably would end up turning this into an MCU movie. Oh. Yeah.
I got the rights back, baby.
Yeah. Finally. Open up those doors.
Right. It's been such a long time. Do you remember when we used to talk about the rights back in the day, and we really never thought it was going to happen? And we just thought we would be suffering in boxing land forever.
And now look.
Now look. We're thriving.
Every other week, they are trending on Twitter. People talking about them showing up in the MCU.
Which let's not count our chickens before they hatch, though. Because
It ain't always good.
It's a double-edged sword, baby. You might not get that monkey's paw, might be working overtime, and we get something that we don't want.
I don't want another Taskmaster.
Dang, that was bad. Although, you know, have you seen the rumors that said they might be bringing him back? Like a correct version of Taskmaster?
A real one?
Yeah.
Okay. I hope that comes true. We'll see.
I'm sorry. But like, why
they played in my
that?
face with that. They did. They played in my face with that one. I'm sorry. Like,
oh, man.
they truly made it out of me on that day.
That was crazy. Good times. You gotta love the MCU sometimes, man. It's funny.
All right, y'all. That brings us to the end of the show. Please make sure you rate and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And definitely, we still appreciate all the comments y'all leave us. Thank you so much. You can find us on Twitter or Instagram at Another Relaunch. You can send us emails at anotherrelaunch at gmail.com. You can find me on most social media platforms at Uncanny LZ. Keenan, where can they find you?
You guys know you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Keenan Lance, and there's an underscore at the end.
All right, y'all. Let's get up out of here, and we'll catch y'all next week.
Peace
out.